WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. And today I have one of the bottles here of this four-part series. It's called the Spirit Animal series from Old Particular. It is a Germany exclusive together with Bremen Spirituosenkontor BSC. All right, so there will be a video about the Port Dundas. There will be a video about the Boar from Bowmore, old and expensive. There will be a video about the Koile, the eagle here. But today we're going to be talking about the Glenrothes, the Fox. It is a 16-year-old whiskey. Look at the color. I believe it's finished. I do not believe it's a full maturation. I'll be telling you why in a moment. Now, what we have here is Douglas Laing. So it has the Casknumber DL14701, and it is Whiskybase number 193524. It was distilled in May of 2004. It was bottled in April of 2021. It just hit the market at the beginning, the end of November, the beginning of December, and it's 16 years old. It's a cask type, is a sherry butt. So it says here, and I think this is an interesting statement here, one of 251 bottles, talk about that in a second, charged from a sherry butt. All right, charged. Now, for me, 251 bottles make very little sense from a sherry butt. What do I mean? So, if we actually take the 200 and, what was it I just said? 251 and times it here by 0.7, because that's the size of our bottles here, I get 175 liters, 0.7. So, 175, I double that, and I get here our 300, and I'm today very reliant on my calculator, 351 liters, 350, basically, and that would be what I would expect after 16 years from a sherry butt. So what happened is, my personal conspiracy theory is, this was a partial bottling. Now, unfortunately, there's 251 bottles that came to Germany. They're going to disappear like that. So I do not know why BSC did not take the whole cask. I'm sure they could have sold 500 bottles of this. All right, for some reason they didn't. I'm going to compare it today to something, Delphi, for example. This was a refill sherry hogshead. This is not hogshead, refill sherry butt. And I need to go back here. So I made a mistake here. Wait a second. There we go. This was a refill sherry, but 604. Now this was a full maturation in that refill sherry butt. 604 bottles is what we got out of that. We got 251. Of course, this is only 13 years old. This is 16 years old. But the important factor also is the color. This is what something should look like from a sherry cask, even if it's refill, and this is not something that we should look like after a normal maturation in a sherry butt. This was the syrup sherry mafia, let's call it them. So my personal categorization at the moment of sherry is the following. This is a perfect example of a sulfur sherry. So they took the barrels from Andalusia, from Spain, from Jerez, from the Jerez Triangle up to Scotland, and before they transported them, they put that sulfur candle in there, and that sulfur was absorbed by the wood, and the alcohol absorbed the sulfur, and that's basically all I get. Now, for the last couple of years, we have something called I call it that, the syrup sherry monsters, mafia. All right, so somehow they're putting concentrated, very highly colorful juice into a sherry. It's not Paxaret. It's not pressed in there with extra force or whatever under pressure, but it is definitely a totally different thing from a normal sherry that we would drink. Is it a cream sherry? Maybe. Is it something else? We don't know. They don't ever define these type of sherry, and it's not a Pedro Jimenez. There is not that typical only that raisin moment there from Pedro Jimenez. And I'm sure they would have put a PX on the bottle if it would have been. They could have even charged more for that. Oh, what did we pay for this bottle? That's also an interesting experiment. Now, over here in Germany, the way we do this basically is we take the price that we pay as a directly from the wholesaler. All right, you add the 19% tax on top of that, and then you add basically 30% on top of that, and you get then the normal price of a bottle often sold by an online retailer in Germany. So you take, for example, a 100 euro bottle, and then you actually put the 19 and the 30% on top of that, and you get basically 150 euros is what the bottle is going to pay or cost then for us as a consumer in a normal either shop, online, or at a whiskey shop where you have brick and mortar where you actually go in there. They add another 5 to 10 euros just for rent and for people and so on and so on. Totally understand that. Now, this is one of those hyper bottles. And so they started going not for the 120 euros they should have started going for, but instead they're going for 160 euros. So the shops online are adding another 40 euros. Not 5, not 10, 40 on top. And they're still selling out because, hey, it's rare and exotic. It's exclusive. It's Germany. It's only 250. And look at the color. It's going to be good. Which, of course, is one of those lies as well. All right. So I'm going to nose this. And then I'm going to read also, what I get is I get an artificial sweetness. I said this is an artificial leather wax. I'm sure there is some type of leather wax out there, but that's what I'm getting here. And I'm getting a lot of blackberries, concentrated blackberries, something that doesn't really belong in a whiskey, in my opinion. And it just doesn't seem right. I don't know what else to say. It's just so artificial. All right, this is it's just so much sulfur. It just almost makes me nausea. This is not. It's like artificial leather. It's just not what it should be. So sorry. And that's why I think this is not a full maturation. I think they actually, and this is what I've seen time and time again at the moment from many people in Scotland, is they just put it into a cask for 6 months, for 3 months, for 6 weeks, and then it turns out like that. The legal requirements is to name the last cask it was in. Nowhere do they say this is a full maturation. Nowhere do they say it's cask strength, which I think is also kind of interesting, all right? So, yeah, that's the way it is at the moment here. And by the way, this is just a typical tube here for everything from Old Particular, and the only thing is the label here. They just pasted the label on there and used it that way. Even the back of this label is just a standard Old Particular as well as the Oben at the top. That was German. Wow. All right, let's try it. 56.3%. First, I must praise them for the 56.3%. The alcohol is nice, well integrated. Good job there. 16 years old. Hope it is. But this is just another example of those typical syrup sherry mafia casks that I've had dozens and dozens of times at the moment. It leaves an artificial type of coating on your palate, which is not nice. It's not the typical astringency. It's almost like a chemical moment. And I must admit, I'm basically sick and tired of those things. Now, why did I buy the bottle? Well, I have some super fans and I have some people that like bottle shares and they like to have things like that. So I just went, all right, good. And I actually interviewed one of the important persons at BSC in Bremen, at the Bremen bottle market. And he actually did an entire video about this. And at the end of the video, I said, oh, you're so excited about it. I guess I'm going to have to buy a bottle of each of them. He said, I sure hope you do. And so I came home the next day, ordered it online, and a couple days later it was here. So that's okay. And I did a bottle share, and they're almost all gone. And so if people are going to try this, going to be very happy with it, or have the same experience like I do. It's, oh, okay, it's another of those syrup sherry things. We've had those before. We know what they are. At the very end, I do get a tiny little bit of that. Typical for me, Glenrothes moment is orange peel. And I get a little bit of that. But it's so much of that sherry finish. I'm going to use the word finish here, even though nowhere is the word mentioned here. But I really, really am convinced, unless someone tells me otherwise, that this is just basically a finish and not a full maturation. And it's only a Germany only, and even the people in Germany aren't going to be able to get their hands on it that they want. 251, I have a bottle 250, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to actually buy bottles and put them away and use them as a collector's item, which is a shame. We should be opening these bottles up and enjoying them if they were as great as I had expected. Okay, I had a little bit of water, brought it down to around 50%. The official tasting notes. The Fox, Glenrothes, aged 16 years, single malt Scotch whiskey. Now, the Fox is everything else except for being shy. It is rather a very, very bright example of the honor of the Fox. In the nose is a fireworks of sweet, spicy notes, from gingerbread to a maraschino cherry. On the palate, there's very strong notes of dark fruits and blackberries, got it, and cherry, rounded out with a little touch of toasted oak. The finish is long and sweet vanilla, juicy raisins, and the finest licorice. I don't get the licorice. So everything else I can basically say yes, 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 but the licorice I just don't get. But I might be like banana blind. I might be licorice blind. All right, so that's that. I'm not even going to try this. Sorry, it's too much of a sulfur moment for me, but I just wanted to show the differences here. As I said, I paid $119 for this, and the Adelphi, which usually costs more, is still priced around 99 euros. So this goes for 160 euros. The recommended retail price would have been around 120, and still it's much more than that. Okay, 13 years versus 16 years, full maturation versus a finish, color, sulfur, syrup. All right, good. We've heard the story before from me. All right, I think I've complained enough and ranted and raved enough about this. My question of the day is, what is your favorite Glenrothes? My favorite Glenrothes is, and I don't have the bottle at the moment open, is the Glenrothes Whiskey Maker's Cut. 48.4%, 48.8%, sorry, got it right. Over here in Germany, 60 euros. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful taste. I just love it. I have 2 bottles bunkered away there, and I'm going to try them sometime soon again. But this is not something I would like. I'd rather have 2 bottles of the Whiskey Maker's Cut than one of these. Sorry. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. Thank you very much for telling others about this crazy guy in Europe tasting exclusive, exotic, and rare whiskeys you might not ever see. All the best. See you soon. Bye-bye.